Okay, well, welcome to our final week mentoring session. Can you believe that we're here at the end? I don't know if it's a relief. Tell me how you're feeling. I want everyone to kind of throw out there. Is it a relief that, I'm so glad we're finally at the last one. I don't have to schedule this in my week or my schedule every week, or are you feeling overwhelmed and wishing that you still had more time to ask more questions? Or just tell me how you're feeling. How are you guys? Relief. Okay, that's good. I'm glad it's relief. But it's okay. You're sad. Well, I'm kind of sad too. It's funny because I have these mixed emotions also. I'm relieved that it's come to a conclusion, and I know that I will have given you all the tools that I think you need to get the results that I promised that I would be offering. And I am also kind of sad because I do really enjoy the community that we have created. And I really hope that many of you continue to be part of my community, both on my sisterhood Facebook group. That's just our basic Facebook group, and as well as in the Facebook alumni group for the Wholehearted Home group. I think it'll be a huge support for everybody involved to know that we have that connection, have had that time together, and would be understanding of any questions or issues that come up, and that we can kind of keep supporting each other as we make these changes a more permanent part of our learning experience. Thank you, Shannon. I lost my train of thought. I have this little helper that tries to finish my sentences for me. I just really need that, apparently. Okay. A little overwhelmed, a little sad. Okay. Well, I'm glad that we're on the same page. I hope that today's mentoring session will help you feel kind of that sense of complete, and gives you comfort you with the overwhelmed feeling, just knowing that it's no longer an open-ended thing. That's what I'm hoping, that you'll get all the pieces, and you'll see the whole full picture finally after your 8 weeks of patience, as we've built things a little bit at a time. And I just want you guys to continue to remember, I say this a number of times, and I keep repeating it because I'm not sure who's hearing it at what times, and I think it's very important. You are the center of the family culture, and this process is a ripple effect. Every piece you're doing is building on and expanding that ripple, and as the ripple expands, it brings in more people in your family, it incorporates more parts, more pieces, and it just has bigger and bigger effects as you just continue to take those 1% steps forward to make progress and improvement. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick, and we are going to start right in the middle of our module. You guys all see that? I'm going to make it a little smaller. Okay. So remember, if you have a question today, go ahead and put it in the Q&A box. And if I ask you a question, I want immediate feedback, go ahead and put it in the comments. And feel free to comment anytime. I actually love the energy it brings to our mentoring sessions when you comment. So feel free to chime in anytime. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little more in depth about this final guiding principle that we're going to talk about today. Our final guiding principle is choice is key to motivation. And I want to go more in depth in this guiding principle than I have even some of the others, because it is so key. Obviously, it's key to motivation. It's so key, but it's especially important in this stage when we're starting to use your chore tickets, your job tickets. Not chore tickets, I call them job tickets. I think job sounds more positive. Chore sounds kind of like Cinderella torture or something. So anyway, I gotta stop saying. I mean, I've always said job tickets, but you know, every once in a while I slip back into those old habits. And they're not chores, they're just simple jobs we get to choose. All right, anyway, but choice is so key at this stage, especially, and is such a key thing to keep in mind. What I don't want you to get is under the impression that offering choice is open-ended, okay? It does not mean that your children dictate what happens. It does not mean that there are unlimited choices, that they can choose whatever they want without parameters. Choice is one of the most powerful strategies you can use as a parent to avoid power struggles. And power struggles, when you are when your relationship with a member of your family, or anyone in general, but particularly with a member of your family, like your children, are continually, I mean, if the foundation of your relationship is always a power struggle, there is no learning that can be done. There's no relationship building that can happen. There's no progress can be made in that scenario. And one of the easiest ways to break that cycle and to break that is choice. And I wrote in your module here that to remember that your family is a democracy, okay? You are, it's not a democracy. It is not a democracy. Everyone does not have an equal say. You as the parent, you as the mother, you are the queen of this benevolent monarchy that you are part of. It is not a democracy that everyone has equal say, even though we are involving our family and enrolling our family and asking for their input and listening to them and problem solving with them and being empathetic and seeing them as individuals that are contributing members of the family. That does not mean that you are not the one that keeps the whole big picture in your mind and in your heart and have a plan and make the ultimate decisions. That's what we mean by you are the core, right? Everything ripples out from you. So when you're giving choices, or when we're talking about, when I'm talking about not forcing children to do certain things, but to letting them choose, I just want to make sure that you understand you are providing the path for choice. You're providing the choices that you are comfortable with. And there are some guidelines. Well, and the reason choice, choice is about sharing control so you don't have to fight for it. So I said it's one of the strategies to avoid power struggles. A power struggle is when someone is feeling out of control, like they have no say in their life, they have no control over what they have to do or what they're being made to do, or whether it's to do or to be or whatever. That's when they fight. It's a natural instinct for us to push back, you know, and when we feel like our back is up against a wall. And the sad thing is, if that's the kind of parenting that the parenting pattern that you've fallen into, don't worry, okay? You're learning tools right now, so get rid of any gremlins that are coming up about it. There's no judgment here on my part, and there shouldn't be any judgment in your own mind. It's about just seeing it for what it is and moving forward. But if that's been the pattern you've been in your parenting, the worrisome part is the kids who fight back are the ones you should feel less worried about. It's the kids who don't fight back and just do everything that you ask them to without any complaint are going to end up having even more challenges and struggles as they reach adulthood and do not know, and you no longer have the relationship of being able to dictate what happens in their life. They don't learn how to make decisions and how to make choices and how to view themselves as an individual with needs and an individual with wants and cares and dreams. You see this a lot, and again, I know I'm not a therapist or a counselor, but you see this a lot in adults who struggle in marriages. because they do not know, they have not grown up with the skills of being able to know themselves, know who they are authentically, so that they can come into a relationship and know what they bring to the table, know what they need, know what makes them happy, know what they need to be healthy and what they need to be at their best, so that they can contribute their role to the family. And so this is something, I kind of am going on a soapbox. I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but this is how important I see choice. I mean, I just want you to take this really seriously. This is an element that if there's any pushback in your mind as we talk about how to use choice, or if there's any pushback in your parenting style or anything, I just want you to question the pushback, because this choice and not having these power struggles, inspiring instead of requiring, this kind of all is wrapped into that one element of choice. And it will give you and your children, as you're trying to prepare them, because ultimately your goal as a parent is trying to prepare them to be adults and parents, or contributing members of society on their own, right? Your whole goal as their parent is to love them, teach them, set them up for success in the future. And this is one of those things that is not hard to incorporate, but it has huge impact if you do it, or if you don't do it. Okay, so I love that you're here with me. I love that you're willing to listen and take this into consideration and incorporate this into your families. Here's a couple of guidelines when it comes to offering choices that make it really effective for having some good results. And I want you to keep these in mind as we talk in a few minutes about how to use our job tickets and how to give your family choice in using that system just for around the house. But you can use these guidelines and refer back to them. I'd print this little section out if you feel like it's going to be something you need to refer back to frequently. Take a picture of it with your cell phone so you can, have it as a screensaver, or whatever it is you need, because these are things you're going to want to remember and incorporate. So when you're offering choices, you want to make sure you have at least 2 good options. More is fine, but whatever you do, both options you have to be okay no matter what they choose. And it can't be what you want them to do and something miserable. That's intimidation and punishment. That's not a real choice, okay? So it can't be like, do this or this is going to happen to you, or do this or I'm going to take this away, or telling them a punishment or a consequence, doesn't matter how you spin it. Dictating something that is an undesirable choice and a good choice, that is not a fair choice to present to your children. That is just an invitation for them to prove you wrong, that they can make a choice whether you decide or you want to give it to them or not. So make sure you have at least 2 good choices and that you're okay no matter with either one that they choose, okay? And I just gave you an example, like, do you want to do your job now or do you want to do it in 15 minutes? Not that big of a deal, both good choices, either one works for me, right? Or another one, it's another example is like, do you want to wear your coat or do you want to carry it? Do you want to wear your shoes or do you want to carry it? Do you want to have a green plate or a blue plate? I mean, just I know it sounds silly, but they're just easy choices where both of them are acceptable, equally good. Kids have choice, right? And you want to give these choices when your children are calm. Okay, so you want to give choices before there's a need for the choice. So you don't want to wait until they're like, I don't want to do that, Mom. And then you say, well, okay, well, you can do this or this. That way, if you do that and you don't give them a choice up front, then you're teaching them that if they complain or they give you pushback or anything about something you ask them to do, then they'll get another option. And that's not what you want to teach them. So make sure you do it when they're calm, kind of preemptively, be ahead of time, okay? And when you offer a choice to kids, they should learn to make a decision quick. And I say down here about 10-15 seconds, and that doesn't sound like very long, but ask yourself a question and count to 10. It's longer. I mean, it kind of feels like forever. And make sure you really are counting or whatever in your mind so that you're not doing this faster than it needs to. But the longer you let them stew over it, the more control they are getting, because they're realizing, if I don't make the choice, then I don't really have to do this. So make sure you aren't really hard-nosed about this as you are starting. As you're starting to make this a habit and this becomes like something regular, but start keeping this in your mind. You know, maybe you'd be a little bit flexible in the beginning, but you want them to make choices relatively quickly. And if they don't make the choice, then you can be like, okay, well, here, I'll choose for you. And you're offering the choices, and one of their choices is not to choose to let you choose. Does that make sense? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you, I don't know if I need to explain that anymore. Does that make any sense? Will you guys just give me a yes, got it, or something like that? Okay, got it. Okay, good. And then you want to make sure that all of the choices that you're offering are things that are in line with your values. You don't want to offer choices that you don't agree with as a parent, or you don't agree, they're not something that supports your family culture. So I'm trying, and now that I'm saying this, I'm trying to think of a negative example. I should have thought of one beforehand, but something like, I can think of good ones, I just can't think of bad ones. I'll think about that in a second. Oh, that's a good one. Tana just made a suggestion. So if one of your family values is that you support each other and you cheer each other on, then one of the choices might not be, you wouldn't necessarily give your kids a choice. Do you want to come in to your brother's basketball game or not? Because that's a choice where that if they say no, that's not supporting your family, your family culture of being supportive and cheering each other on. You might give them the choice of, how do you want to support your brother today? Do you want to sit with us, or do you want to be cheering down? Do you want to be standing down and cheering on the sidelines, or that type of thing? That would be something that would be the choice that they could have. Okay, that's and then you want to make choice really normal, not just about tickets, not about very specific things, but almost, especially if you have little kids. If you have older kids, this might be a little more obnoxious, but you still want to make it a habit. And especially if this is not one of your defaults, if your default is make the decisions and let them know what they need to be done kind of thing. If your default is that, letting them make more choices, this be really intentional. But when they're little, if you have little kids, this is even like more genius. You're just gonna love this, because you will not believe how quickly this makes your children amicable, is that the right word? Compliant, or go along with what you want them to do. And so you're going to offer choices even when it's just a weird way of life, even when they're unnecessary. And what this does is this gives you some evidence in their life. I know I gave a really silly example, because this is obviously not a choice that needs to be said out loud, but the fact that you say it and that they can see that they have options gives you, like I said, this evidence, or this foundation in their life that they have tons of choices. They have lots of say in their life. That tells their subconscious, even if they're not paying that much attention to it, but it's telling their subconscious that they really do. They have lots of control in their life. They have lots of options. There's no need to push back. There's no need to fight. So sometimes when there can't be an option, like can't run in the street, or you can't hit your brother and sister, or you can't, all these things that there are hard, fast, no, these are not something you can choose to do. You have all this evidence that your life is already full of choices. it's not that big of a deal. Sometimes mom gets to choose because it's just nature. I'm the queen, right? You are the benevolent monarch. Part of the, you're one of the monarchy, right? And so this example I put in here is, do you want to put your toothpaste on your toothbrush while you're standing, or do you want to sit on the side of the tub? Like, that is dumb. That's a dumb choice. But you see how just saying, just right, pointing out that there are choices they make every day, all the time. It could be tons. Just take those opportunities and allow for choice. You know, do you want, let's think of some for some older kids, like, well, there's no reason. You guys can think of it. We can maybe brainstorm some together on the Facebook group. I don't need to stop my train of thought just to give you some examples. Unless you guys really need some examples, I'll think of some. But and last one was, if you must choose, you are able to say, hey, you know, you've made lots of choices lately, or you make tons of choices all the time. This one I get to do, you know. So it gives you that option when you cannot offer a lot of choices or something that you actually have to choose that they have to do. That gives you some grounds to stand on. Does that make sense? So we're going to skip past daily mindset and vision and all that. I want to just briefly tell you, if you haven't printed it out yet, basically there's nothing new in these areas. We're down to the last week. I've taught you everything that I feel like you need to help you get going. I just want you to continue using these mindset practices and vision. And if we have time at the end, we'll come back and kind of review what we've done. And we'll talk about the daily habits checklist. Did you notice you got 2 checklists this week? And one is the full program. Isn't that exciting? Everything, the whole program is this last checklist. This encompasses everything you need to do from the very beginning all the way to the end. And the only thing that's not on that one are the daily habits. And I have a separate checklist that I'm just showing you how it can trifold like this. And I love this because you can use this ongoing. So after you've gotten all the pieces done, these are the one and done things on your program. This can be put away, your program's set up, but you want to continue to use your daily mindset practices and your vision experience and tools every day to help you keep making the progress that you need to keep supporting this family culture and this paradigm shift that you're having to go through to keep this system really effective and really working smoothly, and not allow yourself to fall back into old habits if you had habits that were not supporting your system, right? Okay, so we're going to kind of just skim past those because it's a lot of review, and I really want to make sure we have time to talk about how to do and use your system. How many of you have got your tickets printed, or how many of you have requested your tickets from me? If you haven't, I have 2 kinds of tickets, and I know I keep saying it in a whole bunch of different places. I've got 2 kinds of tickets. I know a lot of you out there are my Norwex ladies and friends from the Norwex community. So yes, we are a community of women. So you Norwexers out there, I do have tickets that are Norwex specific. Those of you who are not Norwexers, no big deal. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I have regular cleaning supply, kind of like general cleaning tickets that if you want that version, if you're not a Norwexer and you want the regular ones, I just need to know which one, okay, you want sent to you. So you can either reply on the Facebook group, or you can reply in either email that I sent you today, and I will get those sent to you. Okay, so a lot of you you've gotten them, you've downloaded them, but you haven't printed them yet. Okay, well that's no problem. I want you to continue to this week. You have, well, we're at the last. This is the last official mentoring session, but we are going to continue in our Facebook group for the next 30 days. So I am going to still be doing some live Q&As, and I'm trying to decide, and again, I can say this to you guys because you're my beta group. I'm trying to decide if I want to do kind of a bonus training and talk a little more in depth. We'll see how far we get into it today, but go a little more into depth about growing, how this system grows with your children. I am going to talk about it today, but I think I might want to have a more specific and targeted kind of bonus training because it doesn't apply to everybody at this particular time. A lot of people have little kids and they have a lot of time before they need to worry about that particular stage, and that's something that they can always have access to. And there is some explanation in here so everyone will know it. But those of you who have older kids and you need to kind of accelerate from the younger kid version right into the older kid stage, then I'm thinking that probably in another 2 weeks. I think I'll give you 2 weeks to get, because, well, next Monday is Memorial Day, so that will not be and I'll be out of town actually for that. So and not very many people would probably be able to do it because it's a holiday. We don't want to be doing chore learning on a holiday, but and I need to keep saying, I said chore again. Anyway, so I'm thinking in a couple of weeks. So if we go 2 more weeks and I schedule that, I'll announce it in the Facebook group, and I'll make sure everybody gets maybe a text about it also. But anyway, so you have this next couple of weeks to print those tickets, to go through your checklist. I want you guys, those of you who are on, if you have any questions about what you're supposed to be doing on the checklist, how you're supposed to be doing or setting the tickets up, put them in the Q&A and we'll answer them right after everything happens today. What we're going to start with today is we're going to go with the assumption that this is instructions after you've filled everything out on the checklist, you've printed out your tickets, you've cut them, you're ready, you've got your little storage that they're going to keep them in. And those are the things we talked about last week, and we're in last week's module. And you are ready to bring this the job tickets to your family and introduce them to your family, okay? So the first thing you need to do is you've got to decide what is the weekly or daily and weekly expectation for each age group in your home. So it's not going to be every individual, unless you have children that are really wide in range. I would suggest you choose a amount for a group of ages. So like maybe under 6 years old has a expectation, and maybe from 6 to 9, and then from 9 to 13, or something like that, where anybody that falls into that age group does the same, is capable of doing the same amount. So when you were filling out your basic job checklist, you picked no, Andrea, sorry, I put when it comes to your tickets, I wouldn't laminate them. There's too many of them. The only ones I would laminate are daily dues tickets and bonus tickets. If you have a ticket that you have to customize all the time, that's the only reason you need lamination. Otherwise, they're really not that necessary. I've just used cardstock. I used the same set of cardstock tickets for 7 or 8 years, and they really were in normal, fine shape. No one carries them around. They don't get taken to the job sites. We'll talk about that in just a minute. They're just held in either the storage or in the individual pouches, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So there's not really any reason to go to that length. And I don't want you to put too much time into I don't put so many steps into creating it that you put it off and not do it. Does that make sense? Just do it as quickly as you can and do a good enough at this stage, you know what I mean? And you have the downloaded, it's not like you bought them printed from me, so you can download them if you ever need to replace a ticket, or if you lose one or something like that. Hopefully you don't. You can just print another one and replace it really easy, okay? So first off, with your basic daily, basic job ticket checklist, you assigned a value to each ticket about how long you thought a certain job would take, a certain job would take to complete. So 1 star was under 10 minutes, 2 stars is under 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes, and 3 stars was like 20 to 30, 35 minutes. And if it was longer than 40 minutes or so, then you were supposed to break it up into multiple jobs. That's why in your tickets, you often have multiples of the same thing, because they have, if you have it all as one ticket, then it's a bigger job. And what you want is make the jobs seem manageable and doable, like it's no big deal. Like you want to be able to literally say to your kids, it's like 10 minutes, it's no big deal. It doesn't even take you, it's like 10, 15 minutes. It's no big deal. It's hardly anything, and you want it to be true. It really doesn't take very long, right? And so nothing feels overwhelming to the kids or to you, but for that matter, right? So you're going to kind of look at that job ticket checklist, and you're going to add up all of the values. So it says 1, 2, or 3 on the value column. So you're just going to add up all the tickets in your daily and weekly, how many dailies you have, how many weeklies you have, and what are the values. And then you're going to basically divide it by how many people are in your home. So say you have 4 kids, 3 or 4 kids, and you have, if you're adding them up, say you have 30 or 40 weekly stars, okay? So you think you have 4 kids, so you're like, oh, they need 10 stars. Well, 10 stars is, every star is approximately 10 minutes. So that's a lot. It's like 2.5 hours of work over a week. Do you think that you're going to stop and you're going to divide the total number of stars by your number of people in your family, right? Or that are going to be doing the tickets. And you're going to ask yourself, is that even reasonable? If it is, then awesome. If it's not, if you're like, holy crap, that's like 3 hours a person, then you can stop, and you might want to make some adjustments to your tickets where you don't offer them as often. Does that make sense? So if you have a million daily jobs and everyone in your family is going to be doing jobs for an hour every day, that's not realistic. You as a mom don't want to be doing that much every day. You as a mom don't want to be managing that much every day. And if you're really spending that much time cleaning, you're not spending that much time, enough time on your family culture, or giving you or your children enough free time to not be overscheduled. And that's totally my opinion about that, but I think that's excessive. So I'm just looking back, I only have 3 kids. Okay, so just give you a kind of a comparison. Okay, so I don't have a dozen kids. I don't have a huge family. I have 3 kids, and our average for the full week was about an hour and a half of work every week that they were expected to do. Let's see. Every once in a while, we would have maybe deep clean things or something special, or maybe we had gotten behind a little bit because we'd been out of town or had a lot going on, and we hadn't been keeping up on everything as well. As there would be times like that we would put out more. We'd say, hey, it's been a while, so instead of doing our normal, whatever it was, it was about an average of about, depending on their age, was about an hour to an hour and a half per person. But I have to tell you, that might not seem very much to you. Maybe that doesn't seem like that many tickets to you. But when you start to set them out and they start picking them and adding them all up, there were weeks that even with that expectation, we didn't have enough jobs for everybody to do. It was like, oh, well, score, we did everything. And we just would celebrate that everything was taken care of. And so does anybody have any questions about this particular thing? You're basically, and the thing I want you to realize that you're just going to guesstimate at this stage, first stage, okay? Look at, I give you the instructions here, you can read through them individually, but you just want it to be realistic. You don't want it to sound like, oh my gosh, that is a humongous amount. Mom, you're insane. I can't believe you're going to ask me to do so much. You don't want that reaction. You want to be like, it's no big deal. You only have to do like 5 stars. You only do like 7 stars and that's it. And you can pick whichever 7 you want. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't seem like that much, right? So you are going to decide what the weekly or daily expectation is for each group, and you're going to write it on your tracking on your family board. So when it comes, okay, Andrea, you said, do you include you and your husband on this? I don't give myself or my husband a minimum amount, because your husband's not always going to be around when you do this, probably. And when we're going to talk about this in a second, but when you, after you offer the tickets, you always offer more than actually needs to be done. So whatever's left over, and if you really want those things done, then that's your job. So you don't really have an expectation for yourself, except you get to do what's left over or decide what else is done. Does that make sense? Let's see. Okay, so on your family board, you're going to go ahead and write, I would just say 7 and then make a star, or 5 star, or by every person's name. And making sure that your kids know that, like I said, just in response to Andrea's question, if whatever's left over, you're the manager, you'll take care of whatever is not chosen. And so it's never really Mom, you're not doing anything. It's, you know what, I do everything else. Not only do you do all the other jobs, but you do the things like, I pay the bills, I run a home business that provides this XYZ, I plan the meals, I do the grocery shopping, I manage the whole family system, I drive you guys around. I mean, you have all these other jobs that are not on job tickets. So if you ever have anyone trying to point that out to you, just sit down and watch a list, help them see all of the extra things, not in a bratty way, but be like, oh my gosh, you know what? It's been a long time since I've paid attention to all the different jobs that I do in the house. Let's sit down and I'm going to write out all the things that I do, and we'll see if it feels like I'm doing enough. And just kind of have that opportunity to sit down and brainstorm all the things you guys do, and give them, and make sure you do it in a, I love my job because I'm being a mom kind of way, not in a, I'm so picked on, it's horrible to be a mom. That is never that's never what you want to share with your kids. You don't want them to think that being a mom is not a job that you love. There are difficult things about it. There are hard decisions and hard habits and hard systems to put into place. I mean, it's all a process and it's okay to show struggle, but never that it's not a struggle you're willing to be part of. So if you end up doing that with your kids, make it a positive experience, being like just kind of unemotional about it. Don't be like in your face or grumpy about it. Okay. Side note, huh? All right. So when you finally got that decision, so you've got your job tickets made, you've decided how much everyone's going to do, you've marked it on the board, then you are ready to present the expectations to your family and introduce them to the job tickets and the choice system. Okay, so I put some kind of example of like how I would say it. First, when you're going to present this to your kids, you're going to talk about all the things on your vision board, on your family vision board. You're going to be, remember our family motto. You could talk about that. Remember all the fun things we're looking forward to on our family board. Maybe you talk about that. Remember the pictures of your family culture. You know, you could do this where you're looking at all this and look where maybe you're looking at that all together as a family, or maybe you just are referring to it. You don't necessarily have to be looking at it if it's something everyone's really aware of and really used to talking about, you know, because we've been talking about doing that and incorporating that in our everyday life anyway. You're going to say, that's what we want, and it takes all of us working together to have it. Okay, so the idea is the reason we're all trying to pitch in around your home is so that you don't have to, any one person is spending all their time doing the work and not allowing it for the whole family to have all these good things that you are now envisioning and that you're working towards in your family culture board, right? So you're going to really focus on those benefits in the forefront of your mind and get them in the, get those clear pictures in their minds before you introduce how the work's going to be distributed. Hopefully, you've been laying all this foundation over the last 7 weeks, and everything has already been showing a lot more working together, a lot less resistance, a lot more positivity when it comes to pitching in. So this shouldn't be a huge stretch. If you sprung this on them without doing any of the foundational work, you may have a little bit more pushback. So if I were you, if you haven't done a lot of the foundational work, put off introducing it until you've taken time to get those daily do's down and had some opportunities to individually problem solve with people, so that your kids know that this is not a dictatorship, even if that maybe have been your parenting style in the past. Give them enough time to see that there's change happening and that you are sincerely working to try something new and something different, and are really desirous to have a new and different result in your family, so that you get that kind of suspension of complaint. Does that make sense? So that they can while they're still trying to being in awe and wonder about, oh, I wonder what this is. I wonder how this is going to work. I wonder what this is going to be like. They want to keep them in that kind of, oh, okay, well, I'll try it. All right, so you're going to focus on the benefits to start out with. And then you're going to focus on choice. You're going to tell them there is no longer going to be any assigned jobs in our house. And you can be excited about it, because if you're not assigning and forcing somebody to do something, it is a lot easier for you to manage. So you can say yay also, because it is going to be so much easier. And you can tell them you're going to get to take turns choosing the jobs you want to do each week. How cool is that, right? And hopefully they're going to be all over that. And in their little kid minds right now, they're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never going to have to clean the toilet again, or oh my gosh, I'm never going to have to do XYZ, whatever job they hate to do, right? That's okay. Don't worry, because it doesn't matter. I'll talk about why that doesn't matter in just a second. Well, maybe I'll just say it right now so I don't forget. Okay, the reason why that doesn't matter is it has to do with it. Well, maybe I will wait. It has to do with the bonus tickets, okay? It has to do with how this work system grows with your family. It doesn't matter. So this system, this job tickets and getting all the work in your house done, it has a couple of purposes, okay? One of the purposes is to get the work that needs to be done around the house done and have it fairly distributed, right? And have everyone pitching in, because everyone lives in the house. That's one of the purposes. But an even bigger purpose, an even bigger result that you're looking for is that your children actually learn how to clean, how to manage, how to be personally responsible, how to take care of a home. It's not just about knowing how to clean a toilet. It's about understanding the whole system. So there is a graduation. Right now, this choice where you're offering tickets is just habit forming. It's just enrolling people. It's just getting things done. And so if you have kids that like the certain chores, don't worry that they get to do them all the time. Everyone will get, we're going to talk about how we rotate, who gets to choose, and how you make that fair. So, but you know what, there's just some jobs that it's easier to do than other jobs. I know for me, if you were going to put any household job in front of me, I would clean the bathroom hands down before I would do anything else. The job that I will pay any one of my children to do every time it's my turn is emptying the dishwasher. I do not know why that job is the most annoying job to me ever, but I will pay my kids $5 every time the dishwasher needs to be emptied, just so I don't have to do it. I just hate that job. I don't know why, but I do. I do not like to empty the dishwasher, but I will clean the toilets all without a moment's hesitation. That's like piece of cake. Who cares? But I cannot stand the empty dishwasher. Anyway, so it just doesn't matter, because they'll eventually, in order for them to graduate to the next step, they will have to learn how to do every single job. So it doesn't matter if they have a favorite. It doesn't matter if more than one kid has the same favorite, because of how you're going to rotate it and how it's going to be fair and how they're going to spread things around. It will all work out in the end. So just don't get too caught up in that particular detail. Keep your eyes on the intent behind it. Think back about those guiding principles. Right now, your intent is choice, amicability, like letting them see that they have say, and the work all getting done without it being a super huge project on your end to manage on an everyday basis or on a weekly basis even. Okay, so present each age group's expectations is the next thing, by using STAR language. So you're going to tell them, you're going to tell them why you're doing it with all the reasons, vision board. You're going to tell them they get to choose, and you're going to tell them how much they have to choose. So and you're going to use STAR language, even though older kids are probably easy. It's probably their older kids would be able to understand if you said you got to do about an hour and a half of work. It still doesn't sound, stars just don't sound that intimidating. Even for older kids, they're like, oh, that's no big deal. You can tell them what a star means. Be like, yeah, 1 star is an easy job, takes less than 10 minutes, and you only have to do 7 of them, or you only have to do 8 of them. It's no big deal, you know. But it also makes the younger kids feel like they are part of this big system. You don't have to have dumbed down language for them. You don't have to have some different system for them. It really works for everybody. Just tell your older kids, be like, it's, tell them, just look at them matter of factly and say, this is what 1 star means. I'm just using stars so that everyone understands. They'll be like, I got it, Mom, no big deal, right? So, and let them know that you're just guesstimating these expectations, because you're going to try it out for a couple of weeks and see how it works, and to see if everything can get done. Then you can, and just let them know that you'll be able to talk about, if everyone will just try this particular expectation for, say, 2 weeks or however long. I would say 2 weeks is your minimum. I would say just a couple of weeks, and then just say, we'll make adjustments if needed. And that really should calm down anyone who is tempted to whine or complain or anything, because kind of being the doomsdayer child that you might have, where they're like, no, it's never going to work with this, and just say, it's okay. We're just going to test this out. If it doesn't work, that just gives us an opportunity to tweak it or to problem solve it. It's no big deal. Hopefully you've already been setting this standard of, we make adjustments. You're able to voice your opinion, and we problem solve. So you shouldn't at this stage get a lot of pushback on this, okay? And then, so when it's the actual day that you are going to be presenting tickets to your family, and my suggestion is that you do not try to do this on a daily basis. I know there are daily tickets, and I know there are weekly tickets, And I know there are monthly tickets that are only offered once a month, right, on certain weeks. I've done this both ways as I was developing this program, and the very best way that worked most consistently is when we did two things. And I don't even think I wrote this on here, but I'm going to tell you this. Actually, I don't know if I wrote this in here. Well, anyway, I'm telling you this anyway. Two things. One is you allowed for flexibility, okay? And if we did it every single day, where we picked tickets for daily jobs every single day, it just didn't happen. There would be things that came up, and the inconsistency of having other things trump what I needed to do that day made it so the system did not catch on quick enough. It did not become a habit. So I would really discourage picking different daily jobs every single day and having to offer tickets on a daily basis. So one, we allow for flexibility by doing it in a week's time frame, and just having I think I did write this, having what did I call it? Oh, having a deadline for when jobs need to be done. Sorry, I was like, what word did I use? Having a deadline for when the jobs need, but like an expectation of when the jobs need to be done without saying exactly what has to be done. So you allow for flexibility. And then if you have days that everybody's gone, you're not like you're missing a whole day of your program. It's flexible because you just do it on a weekly basis. And what was the second thing I was going to say? See, this is what happened when I improvise and don't go look down my list. Anyway, that's the first thing. The second thing will come up as we go through. So when it's time to present tickets for choosing, I would recommend that you do this right before when you have a bulk of time to work on household jobs. I felt that in my home, we did it in different days, but I really loved the idea of doing it on a Friday. You could do it in the morning on Friday or maybe Thursday night, because everybody wants the free time of the weekend, right? And yet that does happen to be a lot of times the time of week when you have the most time and energy in a block to get a bunch of stuff done. And no matter how much flexibility I gave, like how much time we gave with the deadlines of when things needed to be done, it always seemed to be more fun if we just did our jobs all at the same time. We just kind of made it, our family culture started to develop to where we just did things together, right? And so I would do the work tickets either on Thursday night, Friday morning, or Friday right after school or after our learning time. And you'd have all the way till Sunday or Saturday night to get them done. So you had 2 full days to get them accomplished. When it came to the daily tickets, you would still choose your daily tickets, but it would go all the way until the next week when we chose tickets. So the daily ticket would be something that you would move every single day just along with your daily dues. You do your daily dues, and then you would check on and do your daily jobs that you chose for that week, and that daily job you chose for an entire week's time instead of having a new one each day. Does that make sense? And before, you want to actually have gone through the tickets before you gather your children around. So what I would do is I would take my little box, the little card catalog thing, is that called a card catalog? I don't know why I'm struggling so bad with terminology today, but the little card box that what is it called? Is that called what it's called? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. I'm looking at the little file box. Thank you. What did I call it? Just the ticket storage. A small card file with dividers. Okay, I'm like, can't remember the terminology. Anyway, I get my little box out and I pull all the daily tickets out. And what this looks like is you pull all the daily tickets out and you literally just flip through them. You're just flipping through them and you're considering each one, because all the daily tickets need to be considered each week. There may be times when you're like, I don't think this really needs to happen this week. Or I want to do that one, so I'm not even going to offer it to the kids. So you just pick the ones you want to offer. This is all you're choosing. You're just saying, which ones do I want to offer? Pick all the daily ones you want to offer and put them aside. Now take all of your weekly tickets out. You do the same thing. You're just looking through them until you just really quickly, really takes like a minute, maybe two, depending on how many tickets you're using actively. It doesn't take very long. Just put aside the ones you want to offer. And every single, just because it says a weekly ticket does not mean that you offer that ticket every week. The frequency that you choose for each ticket, hopefully you read this and hopefully you listened to this in our mentoring session last week, but the frequency means that's how often you consider whether the job needs to be done. So every week you consider every weekly job, but you don't have to offer every weekly job. There'll be times when you'll be like, man, that doesn't seem like, I don't think that needs to be done, you know, or you know, I had to mop the floor because, you know, so-and-so spilled something, so I just already mopped it, and that's no big deal. I'm not gonna do that this week, or whatever it is. So you're just going to consider, and you're going to pick the ones that you want to offer. And when you gather your kids around, I used to do this on my kitchen island. Another place to do it would be maybe your kitchen table, where you read the name of every single ticket. And I would lay them out, and I kind of would group them by room. So after I sorted through all the tickets, I would kind of separate them by room, so that when they were laid out, when I laid them out, you could see like there was, you know, 5 jobs for the bathroom, or 3 or 4 jobs for the living room, or, you know, they were all color coordinated. And this makes it so kids can, well, one, it makes it very clear to say which jobs are which, because you have kids that can't read, right? So you read them and you put them into colors, and they recognize, oh, this color is the living room, or this color is a bathroom, or this color is, you know, whatever it is. And when they're grouped together, that makes it simpler for those younger kids, and you will be surprised how fast they catch on to this, okay, and make this simple. So I'd set them out, and as I laid them down, I would read the ticket and refer to whatever room it was. So you know, especially in the bathrooms, you'd be like, you know, I'd say, oh, the upstairs bathroom, or the downstairs bathroom, or the kids' bathroom, or the master bathroom, or whatever you call your bathrooms. And we would specify what I was laying down and what the tickets were. Okay. After you've read all the tickets, you've laid them out, read them, you don't read all the instructions or anything, you just read the names. You're laying out the tickets. There's going to be someone who gets to choose first. I would recommend rotating this on a weekly basis. And this is something I would mark also on your tracking on your board. So remember all the list of names. On the list of names right now, you should have when people do their laundry, what their expectations are, like what's their number of stars they have to do every week. And you can also have like a magnet or a symbol or a check mark or something of which person is its turn to go first every week. And I would choose in the order that they are listed. So you might start with the youngest and move it up each one. And if they go first, then the next youngest is the next one it picks, and then the next. And so it rotates around, and everyone gets a chance. That's why you're not going to stress out that much if there's one person who likes a certain kind of job. They're not always going to have the person before them always choose a job they want, okay, because they'll get an opportunity to be the first one to choose. And it'll just continually it'll continually rotate. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's see. All right, Mindy, you have your question. I have kids with different custody schedules. One is there much more often than the other two. Do we need to set a daily number for the days they are at our house? What if they choose a daily ticket but aren't there every day? Okay, so Mindy, I would say you're okay. Maybe I didn't clarify this very well. Your expectation for your kids is going to have a daily expectation and a weekly expectation. So if your kids are their custody differences, then just pick a date. So maybe someone who's there only on weekends, they only do the weekly jobs. Or if you have someone that's there half the week, then they could do a daily job and weekly jobs. So you're going to have two expectations. Just decide how many daily jobs they need to, or how many daily stars they need to do, and how many weekly stars they need to do. And don't worry about whether it's done on the days that they're not there. You as the manager, you do it when they're not there. And when they're there, they do it. I wouldn't make it more complicated than that. It's just everybody pitches in. Don't make it overly specified for different people. Just do it by the age, and have their backs, or have your husband have their back. I know because you're a blended family, that is a real challenge. But just have you and your husband make up the difference by, I got you while you're gone, you can do it when you get back. They still know that it's an expectation that they have. I wouldn't make it overly specialized. Does that answer your question? And did I say to you guys, hopefully I did, or I wrote that at least in the things up here. Oh yes, you have an expectation for daily and another for weekly and monthly combined. So you do have two expectations that you need to make sure they know about. Okay. And every person at their turn just gets to choose one ticket at a time. And you just keep going until each person has their allotted amount. If someone gets through it really quickly by picking 3-star jobs, then awesome. Then as soon as they've got their amount, then they're done. The tickets with the heart, when you've filled in the heart, all the tickets have a heart on it. If you've colored it in the heart, that means it is a mini job, one that is perfect for little kids. And maybe you have an older kid who wants to choose one of the mini jobs. Just let your older kids know if they choose the mini jobs and there's not enough for the littler kids to choose, then they may be asked to volunteer to adopt an apprentice. And that's part of the bonus tickets we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And that is helping a younger child, being a mentor to a younger child of the bigger job. So don't make it a big deal like you can never do those jobs. And your younger kids are going to have only a couple of expectations anyway, ones that are so little that they can't do much more than those. So it's usually not an issue. I felt like it never was a huge issue in my house, even when I had other kids over doing job tickets, because when I had lots of kids at my house doing school and stuff, we asked them to help contribute. And so we'd be like, hey, you know what? The house is, with school, everyone here, the house has been getting a little dirtier than normal. I think everyone should pitch in this week and we'll do job tickets all together. So every once in a while, I would do that with extra people. And it never seemed to be that big of an issue because, and I want you guys to start watching for this in your own family. This is why I titled this particular module what I did, because it really does feel like we have kind of this PTSD from previous habits and previous experiences with our family. But as you make these changes and as you start focusing more on this culture, you'll recognize that it is less and less your reality. So let go of those gremlins and those old stories, those old narratives of, oh, my kids are going to do this. I can just see my kids are going to argue about this. And instead of thinking of all the what ifs that you could start asking me as questions, go into this with the expectation that you are going to see miracles, because you've never done this before. You've never offered it like this before. You've never gone through all these steps in this exact order before. You know what I mean? Like, even if you've done something similar, or maybe you've done elements of it, this is brand new. It's a brand new you. It's a brand new age of your kids. You've never done it in this order, never done it in this concentrated amount of time. And you are free and have plenty of permission to expect new results and new reactions from your kids. So don't get overly preoccupied with what ifs, okay? And like I said before, you're just gonna set a deadline for when the jobs need to be done. If you have daily expectations, then that can be incorporated with before free time. It could be your daily dues and your jobs or something like that, but you're never gonna call that job a daily due, okay? They're two separate things. One's contributing to household work, one's taking care of your own stuff, okay? Personal responsibility, daily dues, same for everybody, never changes. Jobs change, flexible, is completely different system, even if it is something that the expectation is we do our jobs before we have free time. The other thing about oh, hang on a second. Sorry. Anybody have any questions or any comments? Well, I'm kind of need to read through this real quick. 1 second. Just make sure I'm not forgetting something. Okay, are you guys still there? Are you alive? Give me a yes, I'm awake, or something, so I know you're still there. Alive. Oh, thank you, Angela. Okay. All right. When it comes to the deadline, I don't really love that word deadline. I gotta think of something more peppy and exciting to use, whatever. When it comes to your weekly jobs, I don't like to say nothing can happen. Like, you can't do anything until these jobs are done. I think that's too controlling. And I want to caution you against that. Give them a time frame to where it's like a couple of days, or when it comes to the daily things, does it really have to be done every single day, or is it something that they just need to check on every day? Allow for flexibility and choice so that they completion rather than that's good, Angela. Allow for them to really be able to own the flexibility in their schedule. You aren't rigid in your own schedule. Think how many times your what you think you could get done that day gets out of your control. We need to remember these are children, these are human beings, and they are not able to be robots and do everything exactly just because that's what we think is possible. They need personal care and self-recovery. They need to be able to be self-aware enough to be like, to know what they need, what they personally need, what they personally I'm saying the same thing over and over, just using different words. They just need to learn to be that self-aware. You want them to grow up and know that it's the same scenario I talked about at the beginning, right? And so you really do want to give them that space. I used to really just think make it kind of fun to do it all at the same time. And it kind of just not always, but most of the time, it encouraged everybody to just kind of get through it and do it. And that was my way of inspiring it to be done in a certain time frame, instead of intimidating or punishing if it wasn't done in a certain time. And that's what I put on here. If you think, oh, I really want to be free to do a bunch of stuff fun as a family on Saturday, I really want everyone to get their jobs done as soon as possible, say that when you offer the ticket. Say, hey, this is what we have to look forward to. Does that make sense? This is what we have to look forward to tomorrow. It's just like looking at your vision board, you know, saying, okay, you know what, tomorrow, guys, I so want to go on a hike as a family. I totally would love if we could get everything done. We won't be able to go if we can't get everything accomplished. So I would love if we could support each other and just getting this all done. When do you guys think you could have it done by? And let everybody say, oh, wow, you know, let them say, oh, I could have mine done by tonight, or I could have mine done by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, or I don't know, I got a lot of homework today. I'm going to need till like noon tomorrow. And be like, okay, I think that sounds awesome. I'm going to turn music on or whatever it is, you know, first thing in the morning, and let's all go make sure we go to bed at a reasonable time so we're not dead tomorrow morning. And then we can play all afternoon. You can have total free time to do whatever you want. And, you know, I mean, just kind of having those always have those reasons why you're working together, but don't dictate when things are going to be done. Think of how you can inspire them to do it when it needs to be done. And part of inspire, not require, is allowing them to choose allowing them to choose even when it's not what you prefer. So if you do all this inspiration, and they still say, no, I do not want to do it until XYZ, then that's fine. You have to problem solve at that point, individually. And a lot of times someone who's really pushing those boundaries is going to be, well, now I'm going on a tangent. That's going to be something that is most likely a relationship thing with you and the child. So that you might want to stop and ponder, or ask some questions if something like that comes up. Pose that question to me directly if you can't think of a way to kind of talk to that child. Look at some of the suggestions for problem solving when it comes to daily dues and things like that. All those things still apply to this. But, you know, stopping, and if you can't get one of your kids to buy into the family rally, you know, rallying everybody to get all the work done, my guess would be my first impression would be to stop and think about the relationship with that child and what's going on in their life. It might not be something broken between you and the child. It may be something that's going on. Maybe they're overscheduled, or they've got something stressful going on at school, and it's taking a lot of their mental energy, and they just are feeling like they're numbing, and so they're not getting to their work because they're numbing, because of stress or something like that. Like, there are other things to be, there's definitely not all one, there's not one answer to everything. You have to look at it as a problem solving opportunity. All right, let me look at the chat box really quick. If not everyone completes their job tickets in time for the activity that was suggested as inspiration, would that be a natural consequence to leave one kid behind while the others who worked hard are allowed to go on the activity, or do we all miss out when one doesn't cooperate? I honestly, Camille, I would say they get left out, but at the same time, when I say that, I would be cautious about that. There's a little more of layering to that, because it's not, you don't want the children who did work to lose out on the experience. But you also don't want to start alienating one of your children as if they don't fit in because they can't conform to what is going on. So there is, yes, a lot of mommy empathy, of course, but I would definitely follow it up with problem solving as to, you know, we really missed you, where you made sure the kids who went really, like, okay, I would take it as an opportunity to be like, yeah, I don't know why Timmy wasn't able to get his stuff done, and I really miss him on this. I wonder if can anybody think of anything we could do to make sure he knows that we love and miss him, and so that next time we, we make sure that he doesn't get left behind, or something like that, where it's not like, oh, you are a bad child so that you don't get to do what's fun. It's more of, man, this is hard to not get to do everything all together. And I would definitely go to the child that was left behind and have lots of empathy and be like, you know what, I don't want this to become a pattern. We're going to have to figure this out. So, next week I want to take some time to sit together and problem solve what happened and kind of talk about this, to where it's not so black and white. If it's black and white, it's going to be, you're bad, you don't belong, you're not part of this, and we're going to go on without you. But you still do the consequence, because that was the natural consequence. You want to do it, but you want to do it with a lot of doses of what that family model and your family culture is. Your family culture probably has lots of sentences in it. That family model has lots of descriptions of being together and working together and all those kind of things. That's what you go back to. You go back to that and bring that to the children who got to go's attention, and recognize that we want that other person to be part of that. And you got to problem solve so that you can really make sure that they don't feel like they are excluded intentionally, or like that it's something wrong with them, that they don't belong. And you always do it back to that child too. What if the child purposely doesn't get their jobs done because that particular family event isn't their favorite? Well, same thing. I mean, honestly, if they purposely don't get it done, that's fine. And they don't want to go on the family event because it's not what they like to do. It's a perfect opportunity to pull that model back out, just like I told you, and pull out those lines that talk about how we do stuff together as a family. Point out times when you do things that they like to do, or find out if they feel like they never get to do the things that they like to do as a family. Maybe the things that they like are not something that are conducive to the whole family. That would be a great opportunity for you to talk about your interpersonal relationships, and maybe what your scope is of your purpose of your family, of being a family together. Just having those opportunities to talk and really bring to life that family motto that is not a blank, that's not just a piece of paper you talked about once. It's something that you pull into your problem solving all the time, over and over, and how our actions and how our choices and how the things that we do are supporting that or tearing it down. And if they helped you make it, they should have a little bit of skin in the game. And always go into that as problem solving, not as assuming that they are intentionally sabotaging the family dynamic. Does that make sense? I like I said a few minutes ago, before I started answering questions on the chat, I want you guys to let go of your what ifs, and just know that you've got some tools and some ideas on how to problem solve as you move forward. But get rid of all the gremlins of, remember how I talked about a few weeks ago, our daily mindset practice was writing out gremlins and destroying gremlins about other people. When it comes to difficult children, or ones that have given you a lot of pushback, because anytime they do that, that's pushback. That's a little bit of power struggle there, right? Write those gremlins out. Write all those old assumptions and all that old narrative about those children, about all the evidence that they have given you, and get rid of it, get it out. Forgive yourself for thinking about them. Ask your Heavenly Father for forgiveness about thinking about your kid, and write those more positive assumptions about them. Write those 6 positive observations that you can focus on, instead of focusing on, I know my trouble child is going to give me crap over this, this, and this. I've said crap a lot of times today. Sorry. But anyway, hopefully that is not super offensive to people. But anyway, I like that. Julie, that could definitely be Julie said in the comments, if kids help out something extra, maybe the kid they helped out does something for each person that week that helped them out. So yeah, if the kid does want to go on the family activity and maybe the family's willing to rally, that was one of the, in the daily do's problem solving, that was one of the things I talked about, like someone who wasn't able to get their stuff done and still wanted to do something, was asking your family to rally around and help and support that person, and how that person can then repay their family and still get the benefits and still have the life lesson of there is some reciprocation that is needed. Thank you for the grace on my potty mouth. Oh, it's funny. Okay, back to deadlines. Okay, after your kids have chosen their tickets, okay, so you've laid them out, you've chosen what you want to lay out, you've laid them out, you've read them to all of them, they've taken turns, someone gets to start, and there's a clear expectation of when everything needs to be done. One of the ways you can remind your kids about the deadline, if you can see one of your children are not really, they don't seem to be making it a priority to get it done and out of the way, is you can ask them, you can approach one of your kids in a non-nagging way and say, hey, I see that you haven't done your jobs for this week, and we've only got 5 or 6 hours left, and it's starting to get the end of the day. It's it's gonna be harder and harder to be motivated to work if we push it off any later. What's your plan? And ask them what their plan is to do their job, making them aware that you are aware of where they're at and what they're chosen, and giving them the opportunity to stop and think for themselves, okay, what is my plan? Not just letting themselves get lost in whatever it is they want to do, okay? And with that being said, the daily dues thing still is in place. So even though you might have jobs that have a wider deadline, daily dues, personal responsibility is every day, right? You do your personal responsibility unless you have a family, we're letting it go today kind of thing. And that would be for everybody, not just for one person. But after they've chosen their jobs, all the tickets they choose are now kept in their own individual storage ticket, pouch. So when they choose their tickets, you put everything in their daily due, or not the daily dues, word salading, in their to-do pocket. And as they get them done, they move them to the done folder. And this allows you to have some really quick, easy management of this system. Instead of going and harping on all your kids or interrogating them, and I know I'm using terrible words for this, but interrogating them and making them feel like you're micromanaging them, you can micromanage the command station instead. You can look at the command station and see if anything's done, and then think, oh, I can go and have a conversation with this kid because you've looked. Or when you can see things consistently being moved or whatever, you don't need to bother that child. Looks like they've got some good momentum. You're showing trust, you're showing faith, and you're showing that they have the opportunity and the space to show you how responsible they can be, right? When things have moved into the done side of the pouch, you can, and you're going to do this more in the beginning than you would normally. I call it spot checking because you're not going to go through and check every single thing forever. That would be super time consuming. But in the beginning, I would do it a little bit more vigorously than not, just because you guys are learning a new system, right? So when things are moved to the done, you would look at those tickets and you'd think, okay, so-and-so, whatever child's ticket it is, you're thinking this to yourself. You're thinking, oh, okay, so it looks like they've done this job, this job, this job. I would just go and spot check those jobs. If they are done and you're like, oh, great, they're done, then you take those tickets out of the done pouch and you put them back in the storage file box. that indicates to the child that you've looked at it and it's good to go. You have noticed they're done, and you have looked at it and you're approved that those are done. They don't need to worry about it at all anymore. If you look at it and you see that there is some opportunity for training, you can just very kindly say, hey, come here, I want to show you something real quick. And take them to where the job is and say, I can see you're going to use hokey language here. I can see, make observations to what they've done. I can see such and such and such has been done. And I know it can be a little bit hard when you're, show some empathy, be kind. I know it can be hard to really reach down here and get really, but and give them a tip of how to do it, and then inspire them by showing them how to do. So that's to do what you want to have done. Don't go in there and say, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. Try when you're having this opportunity to show that the job needs, or show them that the job needs more attention, to try to be hokey about it, okay? Start with something positive, observe what you think has been done. If they have just moved the ticket and done nothing, then observe. You can use hokey language when you're observing that it doesn't seem like anything has been changed. Could you tell me what you did here? Or, I'm not sure that I understand what has been done in this job. Will you tell me what you've done? And give them the opportunity to explain, right? Still use that hokey formula. This is a perfect place for that to happen. And then say, okay, I'm just going to stick it back in your to-do job until you have those done. And when you think you have it done, move it back and I'll check it again. Or you can come and let me know and I'll check it, okay? That type of thing. We are out of time, so I am going to go. I'm gonna talk about really quickly. I'm gonna take 5 more minutes and talk really quickly about the bonus tickets. Okay, I'm hoping that tell me how you guys are feeling about knowing how to present the job tickets. Everybody who's on right now, let me know what your thought is on that. I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen so I can see everybody. Okay. How's everybody feeling about your job tickets? Let's see. Okay. Couple people. All right. And okay, so Camille, that's a good point. Once you get them printed and you start using them, I agree. This is a lot of hypothetical as I'm trying to teach you right now. I'm just kind of trying to give you that overview. And I try to write, I wrote a little more than I would normally in each module because I really wanted you to be able to kind of go through and have a way to kind of refer back to it without having to watch the mentoring session again. But test it out. And if a problem comes up, that's one of the reasons why we're keeping the Facebook group up for 30 days. So if hopefully that's motivation for you guys to get it moving a little bit enough in your family that you have issues come up. Because if you have issues come up and you need to problem solve them, then I want you to be able to ask them in the group. In the alumni, we will have the alumni group, and so you can ask them there also. But right now, our beta group is just a little more active, so they may be able to be answered a lot quicker that way, and everybody can kind of give their own feedback and help each other. I love how there's several of you who are willing to answer questions that are posted in there. They do not all have to be answered by me. I love when people look at it and give their own 2 bits, because that shows that you're learning to problem solve, for your own system. And I just really appreciate everybody who is willing to do that and tries to do that. Really quickly, we're just going to touch on how this grows. What about, I put this cute question down there, is what about older kids who are ready to move past choosing job tickets each week? So I know some of you have older kids specifically, and some of you have a mix of younger and older, and some of you have little kids. Well, there is, in your bonus tickets. One of the tickets is the household cleaning class. So in your bonus tickets, there are 3 types of tickets. And I sent those just with your module today. Maybe I can share and you can look at those. If you don't know what they are, they look just like your regular tickets. Let's see. All right, I'll share again. Sometimes I feel like I can't see what's going on because I'm looking at the share screen the whole time. Anyway, okay, so your bonus tickets look like this. They've got the Reading Buddy, the Adopt an Apprentice. This is if you have an older child, help a younger child. The Reading Buddy, I liked this because sometimes the younger kids just need attention. And if you have a lot of things going on, this can be a huge blessing to you as a mom to have older kids read to younger kids. Adopting an Apprentice is helping. And then you have these classes. So these classes are the special skills classes. And they are a tool that parents can offer children opportunities to learn life skills like cooking or sewing or home management. And this is one of the classes is the home management or the household cleaning. And if a child does not want to be, if one of your kids does not want to, is ready, you want them to actually want this. This is not something is like, you actually want all of your kids to grow into this. You want all your kids to get sick of doing job tickets and want to take on more responsibility. And how they transition from job tickets to having a stewardship is what I call it, is going through this household cleaning class. And what that looks like is instead of choosing job, when they've decided they're ready for this, instead of choosing job tickets, they choose an entire room and they do all the jobs that from all the jobs for that room. So every ticket that involves the cleaning of that particular room. And they can take the tickets and do all of the jobs, okay? And the trick is, it's not really a trick, but the goal is that they do all the jobs, and I know I don't like to use this word, but relatively perfectly. In other words, complete. There's nothing that they miss. Because they're basically being tested. They're going to graduate from this class by testing that it needs to be like 95% complete, like with almost no error at all, where they are showing that they have a critical eye. They not only know how to do the job, but they know how to evaluate whether the job is actually done. That's why you're looking for the result of complete or perfect or whatever. And that is, I use that loosely. You know how I'm not endorsing perfection of any kind when it comes to your kids' jobs. But since this is like a test, they do the room and it has to be like 95% perfect, okay? And if it isn't, then you have the opportunity to say, okay, these are the things that I want you to look for next time. And they can do that same room as many times as they want. Maybe they choose to pick a different room the next time, and then they come back and try that one another time. Once they have checked off every single room and the jobs associated with that room, then they can graduate to a steward. And what that looks like is they get to be in charge of a certain job for a designated period of time. You treat them like an adult that has a job in your home that they get to manage when it's done. They get to manage how it's done. They get to manage all of the pieces. The only thing and I'm going to talk about this more because I told you I was suspected that we would run out of time. So I am going to go ahead and have a bonus training in 2 weeks. So not next Monday, but we'll probably do Monday or Tuesday afterwards. And I will go over this more in detail, but basically they'll get a stewardship that they have complete responsibility for. The other thing I wanted to really quickly mention is one of the questions that had come up was, what if there was a job like the scooping the cat box or something that no one wants to do and it never gets picked. Well, this the third kind of bonus tickets are job bid tickets. So say, I know Mindy, you were saying that you're like, if my kids don't pick if they don't pick emptying the cat box, we are getting rid of the cats. Well, this is what I would suggest that you do, is I would suggest that you use job bid tickets, a job bid ticket. So if it's a job that you absolutely do not want to do and it's not one that anybody else wants to pick that particular week, then maybe it's one that you offer for over and above their regular work. And how a job bid works is you, as the managing parent, you decide what the maximum bid is. So say your maximum bid is $5. You'll pay $5 to have the cat box scooped this week, every day this week, or whatever it is you want to pay for it. Because the real world lesson here is there are times when we have jobs that we do not want to do that we outsource, we hire help for. This is why this is an appropriate learning tool, because everyone has choices, everyone's pitching in, everyone's doing their fair share because you have a certain expectation, right? So if it's a job that no one wants to do, that stands to reason that it is something that you would outsource or pay to have done. And this gives your children an opportunity to not only learn that, but also to learn that they are able to earn money and be able to learn that management and adult skill also to manage money. So you decide what the maximum bid is, and maybe there's 2 kids who want to earn money that week, and they'll be like, well, one kid will be like, well, I'll do it for $5, and then another kid's like, well, I'll do it for $4.50. But the kid's like, the other one's like, well, okay, well, I really want to earn some money, so I guess I'll do it for only $4. And you let them bid until one of them's like, it's not worth it, or even if they get down to where you're hardly paying them anything, then that's also a fabulous life lesson that they need to know what their time is worth too. So anyway, you can offer that. We'll go into those a little bit more detail. We'll do a bonus ticket training and how to graduate into stewardships in a couple of weeks. Thanks for your pitch on the day, Claudia. I think Monday's probably a good time because it'll just be consistent. Any questions? Let's see. Oh, you know what I didn't even talk about, darn it. I didn't go over this in detail, but I do want you guys, and maybe I'll do some posts on it this week since we didn't go over it, but the inspire, not require, the attitude, language and attitudes that send a message for inspiring and not requiring, I really want you to take a time to look at that in the module, okay? I'll do some posts on it too. I don't see any questions, and we must have caught them all in the chat. Does anybody have anything you want to bring up before we wrap it up for the day? I can't believe it. You guys have the whole big picture, and you're ready to do this with your family and just go gung-ho. I'm so excited, and I just can't tell you guys how appreciative and how I am of everybody who has been willing to give all your generous feedback and criticism and help and suggestions. I really, honestly, I tell you, I value it so much because I have been dragging my feet putting this program together in this particular format for a really long time, and I have felt a very strong pull that it's something I need to do, and this group has pushed me to get it ready and get it available and out there to help moms and help families. And this work is just dear to my heart, and I just thank everybody for participating and allowing me that opportunity to really bring it all together. It's just been inspiring, and I have loved it more than I anticipated. And I feel full. I feel full of just so much gratitude and just love to all of you guys. And I hope you feel that through me. And I hope that you see how much I admire and thank you for caring so much about your family and your family culture, and having that desire to make your home and family just a wonderful example to your children and to each other and to other moms around you. I can't say enough. I just love you guys to death. Thank you so much. And I'm excited that I have at least one more class to look forward to with you. And I would like you to be watching in your email for the next couple of weeks, because I do want, I will be sending by the end of the week, you will be getting the number 4 survey. Okay, so your commitment as part of the beta group was to fill out all 4 surveys and to give whatever type of testimonial, even if you did not necessarily have a great experience. I want you to be 100% honest. I want you to just give me the feedback that allows me to learn and to grow. I have a thick skin in the sense that I truly believe that we are all learning and growing. I hope you've seen that in me, and I hope you believe that, because it is, I believe it at my core. So you being able to tell me something that might seem harsh to you because you want to be nice and kind is not harsh. It's helpful because it gives me an opportunity to learn and grow. And the more I do, the even more helpful I will be to others around me. So watch for that email and fill that out. And I will be letting you guys know how to move forward, just with wrapping everything up. And just, even though it's our last meeting officially, just be watching for those things in your email, because we haven't quite completely wrapped up. There's just a few little odds and ends that we need to, to respond to in order to get this all squared away, right? And again, please, if you haven't told me which ticket you want, what type of tickets you want, please let me know so I can get those sent to you. If you're watching this module later on, you need to let me, you can email me anytime, but do that as soon as possible. All right, no questions. Oh, still one. Whoa, one question. I did that before. Is there any way to find out if we have filled out a certain survey? I can't remember. Yes, there is. I saw that suggestion in one of the, Angela had suggested that, and I made a tracking sheet. So let me tell you. Sorry, I've got to look over my other computer. Hang on one second, and I will tell you if you have. So Darcy, oh, I can't see my computer. Hang on a second. Darcy, it looks like I've gotten survey 1 and 2 from you. Number 3, I still need you to fill out. And then when number 4 comes, you can fill that one out also. Camille, how do you edit cards? Well, I think, was it last week I showed how to do that? Let me look at my, well, here, I'll show you again. This will be quick. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. Well, let's see, work tickets. Okay, so can you see, All right, so you need to download the PDF, so it is actually on your computer, and you need to open it in Adobe Acrobat. This is the only way I know how to do it for this. If you have another way, obviously you would know and would be asking the question. So I'm just telling you the way I know how to do it, okay? So, and I know this isn't a regular ticket, but since these are blank, I'll show you. Over here, if you open it in Adobe Acrobat, it's a free program. If you don't have it on your computer, download it. If you have a Mac, I don't know what the Mac version is of it, but I'm pretty sure it runs Adobe also. Don't use the Mac version of it. Download your Adobe and use it, because it should work like this, okay? So over here on this editing menu, I guess, there is this one called Fill and Sign. If you click on it, no, I don't want to sign. What? How funny. Just kidding. I'm trying to. Hang on. Me. I'm going to be doing it. Okay, I just clicked me. All right, so when I clicked Fill and Sign, it opened this menu here at the top, and see this AB. This just allows you to click anywhere and just start typing. You know, and you can make them smaller or bigger. You know, to make sure you get everything on there, and then just click wherever else you want to put. Do you see what I'm? And every single set of tickets, every type of ticket has a full sheet of blank tickets, so you can edit them however you want. When it comes to this sideways labels, you're gonna have to do those by hand. I don't know how to do it sideways in Adobe. If you have Photoshop, this might be more than you want to learn, but if you have Photoshop, you can actually open a PDF in Photoshop and then save it as a JPEG or a PNG, you know, like an image, and then you can put the image into a Word document, you know, so that you can put text box on top of the Word document also. That's a little more complicated, but this is what my intention was, is for you to be able to do it by clicking the Fill and Sign and being able to add whatever details you wanted. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you can't just click. Yes, you do have to have Adobe, because that's really the origin of PDF documents. Is that, you know, I think they I don't know that for sure, but I think the origin of that PDF was Adobe. It was making documents keep their format no matter who opened them on their computer. That's why they're frozen. That's why the format is frozen. Doesn't matter what font it is or anything like that. And Adobe is free and it's universal. It should work on any type of computer. And yeah, so I would say why make it harder than it needs to be? Just download it. Okay, well, looks like that is all the questions. Thank you guys again. Love your buns. Talk to you soon.